Hello, welcome to Manchester Film Festival. How are you? How are you finding the city?
I'm finding the city unrecognizable since when I was at uni here about 25 years ago. So,
Yeah, no, it's all glass now, isn't it? It's totally different. For people who aren't familiar with Santosh, do you mind giving us a brief introduction to the film?
yeah, it's a film set in northern India about a housewife who's sort of lower middle class young woman, and her husband is a cop, and he dies. And as per a real government scheme in India, she gets to inherit his job. So it's a story of this woman who goes from being a wife to a widow to a policewoman in a pretty corrupt force.
Yeah, I think that's a slight under exaggeration. How much, I know your background is more in documentary filmmaking, how much of this film is kind of based on real stories and how much of it is your imagination?
I mean, there's a lot of things that happen in this film which are everyday occurrences of everyday violence, everyday oppressions. You know, it wasn't one particular case, but it's a very well researched film. Of course, then put into some narrative arc, but
Yeah.
all the moving parts of it are based in something real.
Yeah. It's a really well paced narrative arc as well. The character's kind of unrecognizable by the end. Was it really hard to find a lead actress who could kind of capture that, that complex range of emotions and kind of create that kind of ambiguity in the character as well as you start to doubt her morals?
Well, I mean, she was always written very grey,
Yeah.
and I think that's what attracted Shahana to the role, for example. But at the beginning, coming from documentary, I thought I was going to take a non-actor and put her in that role.
Right.
And then very early on in the casting process, I just thought, no, that's absolutely too much on someone's shoulders because it's such a big. The reason the film feels like a good ride is it is such a big journey that she goes on, and that does require some skill to play it well and with restraint. And like Shahana just brilliantly does it, basically.
Yeah, I believe she's just won a pretty major award for the role as well.
She has. She won Best Actress at the Asian Film Awards just earlier today, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Bringing this film over to the UK, how are you hoping it's received? What do you want people to take away from the film today and when it comes out in a couple of weeks?
Do you know, so one question that I'm never going to learn how to answer properly, like what do you want the audience to take away? Because I basically, for me, the film, there's a lot of layers in this film, and I think, and there's no music actually, that's not, no score until the very end of the film. There's one piece of music which runs with the titles that was composed. And basically, that piece of music is sort of a mix of what I want the audience to feel, which is sort of anger and indignation and melancholy and rage and sadness and a little bit of hope. So it's a sort of really if you listen to the music at the end, you'll understand that that's sort of what I wanted to leave the audience emotionally.
Yeah, I'm going to pay more attention to that this time, my third viewing of the film. Would you say it's ultimately optimistic by the end, or are you pessimistic about the direction of the culture that's being displayed in the film?
I mean, my favorite emotion as a filmmaker is always bittersweet. The ending is that the character has some level of triumph, but it's very complicated and compromised, and then there's a story for her, and there's a story for the context in which the film takes place, and that those two things are working slightly differently for one another. So I think it's kind of complicated.
Yeah, no, bittersweet. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, that's probably. I mean, that's probably the right word for most of the film. To be fair, that's really all the questions I have prepared. But thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
I look forward to talking to you after the film as well. Thank you so much.
Thanks very much.